So Bloxfruits surprised us all in 2025 by releasing a whole bunch of updates, especially towards the second half of the year. And this could be a sign for more frequent updates to come in 2026. But with the recent release of the long-awaited Control rework in the last update, it begs the question, what else is there to come? Perhaps the addition of the Fort C, Celestial, and Oni fruits, a complete rework on the Venom, Quake, and Dark. Those are just a couple of things that have been confirmed by the Bloxfruits team over the last couple of years, and today we will be looking at all of them to find out exactly what updates are coming in 2026. Let's go. Okay, first of all, before we even look at anything, I want to give a huge shout out to Bloxfruits News on Twitter. All right, he's the one that did all the research and gathered the information for us here today, so go give him a follow. I'll link it in the description. And now let's take a look at his tweet. So this is Bloxfruits in the Big 26. Everything that is left to come, everything that's been hinted at or confirmed by the developers, the owners, and everybody associated with the game. And we're starting off with a banger, reworks, all right? So we have the Dark, Venom, and Quake all either confirmed or have been hinted at to get a rework in 2026. I don't even know how they find information like this, but this is a message from Admin E, apparently on Discord, and I think they're talking about the Control rework trailer here. And a lot of people thought what Zeolus was using was like a brand new weapon, some sort of scythe, but he has pretty much confirmed that it is not a hollow scythe, it's not shadow, it's dark. And thank you for some reason. The dude is very, very polite. And I think this is what they're talking about, guys. This scythe that Zeolus was holding, I will admit, when I first saw it, I thought it was gonna be a brand new weapon too. But it actually makes a lot of sense that this is part of the Dark rework. Maybe along with the Light Spear, the Ice Trident, we are actually getting a Dark Scythe for the M1 ability. That would be so good for grinding, guys. The Dark is long overdue for a rework. It used to be a very good fruit for PvPs in terms of stunning your opponents and pulling off combos, but with all these new fruits getting released and fruits getting reworked, the Dark has kind of been left behind. So it would be really nice to see the resurgence of Dark. This is fantastic news for the community. Let's see if we can't catch a glimpse of the Dark fruit in action. Oh yeah, use that scythe, baby. Use that scythe, Zeolus. Oh yeah, use that scythe, Zeolus. Come on, show us the Stop switching the scenes, dude. Wait, let's slow the scene down for everybody to see. Whoa, look at that thing spin. Look at that beauty. And the fact that they've already shown it in the trailer means that is definitely going to happen. Major W for the Dark Fruit. And in terms of the Quake and Venom rework, which again, just like the Dark Fruit, are long overdue, this was answered by Uzoth in a Q&A. Are there any plans for a Quake or Venom rework? These two fruits are some of the most outdated fruits in the entire game and desperately need a rework.
For Quake, there is plans. For Venom, there is definitely plans. I can't say too much about each one, of course, but I will say Venom is getting a very interesting rework.
Okay, so there is plans, and they're getting interesting reworks. Wow, Uzoth, the most well PR trained admin of all time. Way to tell us absolutely nothing in 1,000 words. But even on that note, just the fact that they have plans for Venom and Quake fruits alone tells me that they have plans for a lot of the outdated fruits, right? Like the Spring, for example. God, bro. Either rework that or just delete it from the game, please. Nobody ever wants to see that thing. Okay, what else is happening? The creation upgrades. Oh boy, that is a sensitive topic, man. So everybody knows when they first dropped this admin panel from the mysterious scientist that allows you to upgrade your fruits, they started with the Eagle, the Gravity, and of course the Creation, which said coming soon at the time. And ever since then, they have released the Lightning upgrade, the Pain upgrade, and the Control upgrade, and the Creation is still nowhere to be found for some reason. And they've shown us many tidbits of the Creation upgrade, you know, in these bulletins that they were dropping every single week. So like bulletin number 11 right here. The Creation fruit has unlocked new layers. Is the Creation fruit not everything you thought it would be? Do you wonder if it could have been more? Well, you're in luck. Across the seas, more creation users are finding incentive ways to push its potential. It was fun for a while to design things, but now functionality has been achieved. Conveyor floors to get to places quicker, trampolines to reach higher ground, drivable cars that can scale walls. What are we even talking about here? How can one fruit do so much? Decorative trees and even funny trap doors. The new hidden ability seems to almost have it all. How many hidden ability upgrades are we going to get? And of course, we had bulletin number 12, which mysteriously got hacked. It looked more like Uzoth just had his cat run over the keyboard to type this thing out. But we had the barrier hidden ability, guys. Remember hearing the name barrier fruit? God, it's been so long. But they released a quick little clip for us that was in like, it was recorded on a potato of them summoning a control car, driving on this accelerator ramp. Dude, you could even boost. You could hit the NOS on this thing. Yep, they weren't kidding when they said it could scale walls. This is legit. It could scale trees too. Now, I'm not gonna read all this gibberish out loud to you guys. I don't want you or me to have an aneurysm. But yeah, they hinted at this since June 26th of 2025, all right? If the creation upgrades don't come out by 2026, something's wrong with these guys because they've been hinting at it for 6 months already and it still hasn't released. Now, here comes a big one. People have been asking for this for years, which is really weird because Bloxfruits, the way it was originally designed, seemed to be like the first sea is the north, east, south, and west blues, and the second sea is the Grand Line, all right, where all the cool stuff, the strong people hang out. So where the hell did a third and fourth sea come from? I have absolutely no idea. I mean, this game is not even One Piece for legal purposes, right? So they can just do whatever they want, bro. Drop 4, 5, 6, 7 seas. Who cares? Now, how do we know that the fourth sea is actually coming? We gotta go even further back on the bulletins to bulletin number 8. This was May of 2025, guys. Bloxfruits did a community poll on this bulletin. Have your say, community poll results. So when people voted on what they would like to see come out in Bloxfruits, oh, this is interactive. Very, very cool, man. You got prestige system, you got aura color customizations, keybind customizations. Oh, that's actually a great idea. More races added to the game, island reworks, fighting styles, mobile controls, grinding revamp, new fruits 12%, fruit reworks at 13.9%, and at a whopping 16.7%, people wanted the fourth sea. Now, does that mean just because people voted for it, it is absolutely coming? It better be, otherwise don't hold a damn poll. You know what I'm saying? So in their original poll, they did say, what matters most to you as a player? Which features do you want to see prioritized in future updates? And they give C4 as an option, and it's going to be prioritized, so it better be the priority of 2026. Okay, up next, we have something that intrigues me a lot, and that is the new fruits. See, we've been getting a lot of reworks recently, but nothing really new. We need new fruits added into the game that will change the way the game is played. We got Celestial and Oni. Those were two of the biggest hyped up fruits for the longest time, maybe even before the Dragon rework. They were hinting at these fruits. I mean, RIP Indra himself had his profile customized to this celestial creature on Twitter for, dude, I think this profile picture has been here forever. So yeah, this is supposedly what the celestial kind of looks like. And of course, we got MyGame43 on Twitter with his Oni fruit. Look at, oh, this guy's got like, he's got his mouth so together. What the hell, dude? So this is sort of like almost a tease of what the Oni powers will kind of look like. Doesn't really tell us much, but good news is Bloxfruit News hooked us up with more information than whatever I just saw or noticed on Twitter. And what better way to confirm something than from the mouth of one of the admins themselves, Uzoth. I said he was well PR trained, but clearly not. Let's listen to what he has to say. But yeah, there you go, guys. There's the Oni fruit right here, and this is the Celestial. This image honestly looks very fan-made, and it's probably outdated, and I assume will not be the final product. But the Oni fruit looks like it's probably gonna look like this. Now, they're obviously gonna be beast-type fruits, I'm pretty certain, especially the Oni. You get to transform probably as this red demon looking thing. Without ever having seen it, I'm just gonna assume it's gonna look like a red Yeti.
The Oni and the Celestial Fruit are confirmed and is already in Bloxfruits.
Bro really said that in the first 3 seconds of his intro. Talk about the greatest video hook of all time. Okay, this video is 17 minutes long. Do I have to watch this whole thing to find out what happens? Nah, we just let ChatGPT tell us. Summarize this video for me. Okay, so literally everything Uzod said about the Oni and Celestial Fruit was in the first 3 seconds. He talks about the Oni and Celestial Fruit being confirmed for future game update and nothing else. Oh my god, bro. What did he spend the next 17 minutes yapping about? This guy's getting better at yapping and wasting time than I am. Anyway, yep, Oni Fruit, Celestial Fruit confirmed. Can't wait to see how much they're gonna be worth. Like 6,000, 7,000, another 6-7 joke, 8,000 Robux. I would not be surprised. I'm just telling, fair warning. I don't know, I'm just guessing. Okay, up next we have the crew rework system. I do remember them hinting at this also many years ago. Yeah, because the video we're referencing here is titled The Future of Bloxfruits by Gamer Robot, and it premiered March of 2023, almost 3 years ago. And at exactly 3 minutes and 49 seconds of this video with Zeolus, let's listen to what he has to say.
All right, so since we're already on the topic of crews, I want to announce something huge right now. We're gonna revamp the entire crew system. The entire crew system is gonna have a lot more features than it has right now, because right now it's kind of stale. But listen to me. We're gonna add crew activities. If you have a good crew right now, I know you're gonna look forward to this because you can unlock special rewards with your crew. There's gonna be crew bases.
What are you gonna build that with? Creation fruit?
You're gonna show who's the better crew, which crew wants to be the reigning king of Bloxfruits. All right, so imagine you and another crew have beef right now. You can literally settle.
I got beef with all of them.
So enough with the talking and get straight to the crew battle. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Bro sound like a little pump there. Don't even have a crew. I think it's kind of boring. It just gets in the way of me making thumbnails and stuff like that. So I've deleted my crew, all right? I know that crews are out there and this thing has been around since the game released. Definitely needs a revamp. Crew leaderboards, crew battles, crew bases, crew activities, everything Zeolus has said, I'm all for it, man. Have more reason for players and communities to just make their own friend circle and play together. Right now is literally just words that appear on top of your head. It doesn't really do much. Now, here's the thing though. Do I really think the crew rework is coming out in 2026 when they hinted at it in 2023? I would say no, but Bloxfruits is getting very consistent and more frequent with the updates, so it's honestly more likely than not. But the fact that one of the owners answered this in their previous bulletins, can the crew systems get an update? And they said yes, but we haven't started this yet. That was a year ago though, so hopefully they have started. This is hope. Up next, we got bounty rework. So the only thing that we know about the bounty rework happening is from bulletin number 6. This was also May of 2025. And here, Seiko Gremory, hope I'm not butchering your name, I'm sorry, said bounty has not been touched in almost 3 years. Will we finally get something to hunt for soon? The bounty system is definitely due for a revisit. We're exploring the idea of new stats called reputation. The idea is that this new stat would increase as your bounty grows, but bounty wouldn't be the only way to raise it. The stat will be even more important than bounty, but won't require you to PvP to earn it. This will be a feature that's coming soon, but not this update. So, taking away all the incentive for those tryhard sweats to get better at PvPs for bragging rights, you could literally just make friends and give each other reputations, I'm assuming. The bounty hunters are mad, and rightfully so, because that is a pretty important aspect of the game. I don't know how this is going to look, guys, and who knows if it's going to come out in 2026. Sounds like the way that they phrased that answer, that is something that's way further out to be even considered in this moment. But again, that was also like 8 months ago, so who knows? They might have already started working on it also. Okay, up next, we have the subclasses Beyond Sea events. Right now, as we all know, there's only one subclass in the entire game, and it's called the Shipwright. Would you equip the Shipwright subclass subclass. Yes, equip. And look, you can have, you know, different abilities that helps you repair your ship during sea events, and you upgrade them by completing sea events to earn this valor. When they first released it, they hinted at many more subclasses to come in the future, and literally haven't talked about it ever since. Until the bulletin. Back to bulletin number 6. All right, in the exact same Q&A, a truck Biruduru asked, will we get more subclasses? If yes, will it be useful only for sea events? The answer was a good question. The shipwright subclass was our first trial run, and it gave us a lot of insight into what players enjoy about subclass style systems. While we'll be expanding on that idea, future versions will be renamed and redefined to better reflect their importance in gameplay and offer more exciting progression beyond sea events. Keep an eye out for more news in these bulletins and in the next update. I don't think we got any news about subclasses in the next update. Am I tripping, guys? But the fact that they were even brave enough to hint at this means that it is something that's likely being worked on, and it should probably come out in the year 2026. Fingers crossed. Okay, what's next here? We got upgraded versions of swords and accessories. So this is from the Blocks Bulletin number 13, a little bit closer to our current timeline, July of 2025. Swords and accessories, a closer look at the reworks, and this is the exact same image that Bloxfruits News had dropped on their tweet right here. We can see some dope accessories, a blue coat, a red coat, and a purple spiky coat. That do be looking like the cyborg glasses. We got 2 swords over here. That's probably the, what's the one that the Cavender Cabbage uses? I've totally forgot the name. We got a 2-speared trident, a bident. I don't know what that would be called. And a lightning sword. So what do we say here? Hello, everyone. We've been working hard behind the scenes to breathe new life into some of the game's older weapons and accessories. Today, we're excited to give you a first look at a few of the upcoming swords and accessory reworks. That means everything that's here is already in the game. Oh, this is the pink spiky coat. That's the spider logo on the back, because the string fruit has been reworked into the spider fruit. I don't know, guys. I'm high-key a bigger fan of the pink spiky coat. I think this looks pretty cool. They just need to add a little more detail and animate it, maybe. This is probably the marine cape, and this is probably the pirate cape. So that's definitely the cyborg glasses, and I think I know what this hat is. That is probably this musketeer hat right here, which, yeah, admittedly doesn't look great. I could probably model this myself in Roblox Studio. Y'all have to excuse me, I haven't used swords in a long time. Oh, this sword is literally called Cavender, guys. That's the fencing sword that we see in the image. I would say it is definitely a major upgrade, but what on earth is this sword right here? Could it be one of the 3 legendary swords like the Shizu or the Orochi or Saishi? Or could it just straight up be a rework of the katana sword? I mean, dude, I would not mind the katana getting another rework, guys. I know they did it like a year or 2 years ago, but it's still not good enough. I couldn't even begin to guess what the 2-headed trident thing would be. Let me know if you guys have any theories. I personally don't. So hopefully they'll be able to release these in 2026. I think it will happen. And the next one is a pretty general term. It says new achievements. What are we talking about when we say new achievements? So more specifically, referencing the exact same bulletin, they're just talking about badges on Roblox, which honestly, let's just skip on over this. Who actually cares about badges? Nobody. And to look into the thread of the tweet even further, there's 3 more things that we're talking about here. New mechanics. I honestly think that all of the new mechanics that Bloxfruits kind of hinted at with their bulletins have already been released, or maybe they have more waiting for us. But with the potion system and with the trinket system, I would say those are the new mechanics that they were kind of talking about. But what about the first and second sea rework? This one has been the vein of my existence for so many years, because we've been waiting for this for longer than the control rework, or just about the same time. I hate to keep showing you guys the exact same images that we've seen a million times, but there you go. There's the reworked Midtown. This is the reworked Kingdom of Roses. course, the reworked hot and cold, which finally did drop. It just looks slightly different than what this image shows. So just expect the other reworked first and second sea maps that they showed us 3 years ago to look different. All right. And of course, somebody also asked in a Q&A, how many updates after the coming one do you plan on releasing the map UI and crew reworks? These reworks take more thought than it might seem. We're not just replacing maps, we're keeping the nostalgia while adding side missions, puzzles, and expanding stories. So it's not just like a model of a map. They're gonna add different puzzles into it, which is cool, I guess. And you can even see the previous map reworks that they shown us already went through several revisions. So yes, 3 years in the making for the map reworks, coming out in 2026. Chances slightly slim, but always possible. Never say it never. And last but not least, we have more UI changes. So the UI rework is also something that they've sort of sneaked to us way back in the day. Around the same time they showed us these map reworks. I think this is what they were talking about. I don't even know what even was this. The Twitter codes one actually did drop, thank God. Wait, is it gone? Did they change it already? Dude, I think they removed it. But they did add a UI with the player profiles. So I guess that's cool. I guess this is definitely a new UI. But there were a lot more that they promised us that they haven't released yet. So back at Blox Bulletin number 8, here they kind of talk about they've shown sneak peeks over the years on the new islands, redesigned UI, and new systems. Much of this content was already deep into development and some even finished. Ultimately, it didn't end up meeting our standards. Wow, these guys are picky, dude. They even said the UI revamp, for example, had a more modern look, but all of your feedback was clear. It just didn't feel like Bloxfruits. So it looks like they gotta go back to the drawing boards and come up with something brand new. Once again, on the coming updates in 2026, UI rework, they could sneak that into any update. It's not really that huge of a deal. So yeah, I would say it's likely. And there you guys have it. We went through every single item on this entire list for updates that hopefully will be coming in this year. Which one do you guys want to see the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if it's not the 4th sea, you're getting blocked. Today, I am ranking all 41 fruits in Bloxfruits, including their mutations, on a tier list. With a whole bunch of reworks, the power balance and the fruit rankings in the game has completely changed. So it's finally time we update our tier list. This list will be accurate as of update 29, the control update. And guys, because I will probably get canceled for expressing my opinion on the internet, be sure to show me some love by liking the video, subscribing with notifications, and let's get to ranking. And of course, we're starting with the mythical rocket fruit. Now, everybody calls it a mythical as a joke. It's a common, okay? It's the most common fruit in the entire game. So first of all, what are the moves? All right, we got the missile fist like Mega Man. We have the airstrike predator missile, the rocket crash, boom. And of course, the blast off. It's even got a flight move, guys. That's pretty good for a common fruit. And it is a very easy fruit to obtain, extremely cheap, so pretty good for lower level players to grind with in the first sea when they're starting out with really not much to work with. And because of that, the rocket earns a sweet spot directly into the F tier. Moving on to the second cheapest, the second most common, but the first worst fruit, we have the spin. We got the razor wind, the tornado assault, the air slasher, and of course, last but not least, the wobbly helicopter fly. Whee! Now, what is a redeeming factor about this fruit? Honestly, I can't really say much. Alright, it's got just as terrible damage as the rocket, and it's got probably even worse range. You can't really hit your enemies from very far away. So the spin also gets a cozy place right after the rocket in the F tier. But don't worry guys, we have a fruit coming up later that's even worse than the spin. The third fruit that we have on the list is the blade. Alright, what used to be the chop, one of the worst fruits in the entire game, has gotten a glow up. And with its glow up comes one of the greatest features this fruit has to offer, which is an M1 ability. I will say, obviously, the skills, damage-wise, you know, it's not nearly as high as some of the rare fruits that also have M1. but come on. This is pretty good. Also, looks insane. They have completely given it a brand new moveset. And you also get a flight move, even though this one is probably the least effective so far. I gotta say, man, this does not deserve a spot in the F tier, but it's also not that good either. Maybe we'll put it in the C. Yeah, that's a solid spot. Okay, up next, we have the spring, guys. I'm almost inclined to just completely skip this. Talking about this fruit itself is just a total waste of time, and I know nobody cares about it because the developers themselves haven't even reworked this fruit, and I don't even know how many years, man. There's the spring snipe, we have the spring cannon, the spring emperor, which like bounces you around different walls. Kind of cool. I get no, there's nothing cool about it. Not good for PvEs and definitely not good for PvPs. This fruit is completely useless and I would say is the worst fruit in the entire game. Don't even at me, all right? Bottom of the F tier it goes. Not a great start so far, but that's only because we're ranking some of the worst fruits in the game so far, all right? It's only gonna get better from here, guys, trust me. Okay, up next, we have the bomb fruit, which is quite opposite of the spring. It's actually been shown so much love by Bloxfruits that it even have multiple different skins to celebrate how much they love it. Now, guys, I'll be honest with you, I actually haven't used the bomb much since it got its rework. I believe it has an M1 now. Yes, it does. Yeet! The target bomb now has a totally different look to it too. Pretty decent range if you ask me. The bomb grab. Self-destruct is actually a diabolical move. You turn your own head into a massive bomb and just blow it off. Oh god. I will say, in terms of grinding, it is definitely one of the better common fruits. Probably not as good as the blade yet, but overall it is not as spammable as some of the other fruits if you want to deal just as much damage as humanly possible, right? And I am sticking to the C tier for the bomb fruit. Next up, we have the smoke fruit. Now, it's only ever been talked about because of your boy right here, okay? But anyway, in terms of grinding though, the smoke fruit doesn't even have an M1. You're gonna have to rely on just its skills, which have pretty terrible range and don't deal all that much damage. One positive thing I will say about the smoke it is a Logia, okay, and an elemental fruit in Bloxfruits, so you can't really get hit by your enemies. Decent for beginner levels, but overall just bad, just not great at all. Honestly, I don't know if you agree with me or not, guys, but smoke goes into the F tier for me. All right, the spike fruit, or what other people like to call the poor man's dough. I wouldn't wish the spike fruit on my worst enemy. Look, it only has 4 skills. No M1. Spike summon. Ooh, this area is kind of big though. I'm not gonna lie. And of course, this is the spike ball that people say that makes you look like the dough fruit. I just think it looks like Sonic the Hedgehog. So as you can see, not very good for PvE, right? Not great for grinding. And the slowness of these moves translate over to PvP as well. These moves are very, very easy to dodge. Spike Fruit goes into the bottom of the F tier. I will say it's probably slightly better than the Spring, but worse than everything else. Okay, here is where things start getting a little interesting. Every fruit that we have ranked so far has been common fruit. And now we're moving on to the uncommon tier. And we're starting with the flame. Now, it is an elemental fruit as well, so you do get the elemental immunity, but unfortunately, it does not come with an M1 skill, all right? But what is good about the flame is it has decent medium range. They're not very long, that's what she said. And it has an awakening, okay? Which is relatively easy to do. But in terms of PvP, there's not a whole lot of combo potential. And in terms of PvE, a lot of the moves have pretty high knockback, like that one right there. I'd still say it's not as good as the blade fruit, guys. The blade fruit still takes it for me. But yes, the ice fruit. This is a great fruit to use, okay? First of all, as you notice immediately, the ice fruit does have a spear that come with it. It does have an M1 ability, which is pretty good for grinding. On top of the fact that you get elemental immunity, in the first and second Cs, you could pretty much clear the entirety of it pretty easily with not much worry. And the ice also does have an awakening as well, which is relatively easy to do, I would say. Very, very good starting fruit overall. Also has pretty decent mobility. Unfortunately, you can't fly, but you travel very fast with the ice skating. we'll leave it in the B tier for now. Now, if you guys have noticed, I've been changing islands every time I moved on to a new fruit to rank, but for this next one, I felt it was appropriate to come back to an island we visited before, the desert. Because we are talking about this pancake fruit, the pancake ninja, the sand. It is an elemental fruit, which is good, but it does not have an M1. It's lacking in that regard. We have the desert blade, the sand coffin, the sandstorm, which knocks your opponents around by quite a bit, and then the deep sand, which has like a massive screen shake. So a lot of moves, but not very good for mobbing, all right? And even in PvP situations, the sand, it just does not shine. It does not stand out at all. I think we're gonna have a lot more C tiers coming up, so yeah, let's put it at the top of the F, guys. Now, as it turns out, the uncommon tier is just the tier of elemental fruits in the game for some reason. The dark fruit is the 4th uncommon and also the 4th elemental fruit in that category. So because it's an elemental, obviously it has elemental immunity. The moves, once again, are pretty good for stuns, actually. I can't really demonstrate it because there's not a lot of enemies here. You can also use the abyssal darkness to draw them close to you. And of course, the endless hole is one of the greatest stun moves in the entire game. But as you would have noticed, everything I've described about the dark fruit is pretty good for PvPs. But PvE-wise, not a very good fruit for grinding. I would not recommend. Actually, you know what? It's pretty good for PvPs relative to this flame fruit. So let's put it on the top of the C tier. Okay, the first non-elemental fruit in the uncommon category, we have the eagle. So as you would immediately notice, this thing has a feather meter. And what that is it allows you to stay in the air while in aerial combat. Not many fruits other than this have that ability. Relatively high damage output, very good PvP potential, believe it or not, and it even have an M1 where you could just fling feather at opponents. Not the best for PvE, I would say, but still better than most fruits that we've seen so far on this list. The eagle goes into top of the C tier. And the final fruit in the uncommon category is the diamond. So in order to use the diamond fruit, you have to first encrust. I have the ruby diamond, so I don't look any different at all. I'm already red. I have the M1 here, which tackles your opponent. It's not spammable though. There's a huge delay between when you can use the M1s. And because of the massive defense buff you get with the encrust, it is actually very good for PvPs as a sword fighting style or gun main. High key, I am inclined to put the diamond into the B tier. I wouldn't say it's as good as the ice, but it's got some very niche uses that people are able to abuse the hell out of. But the next fruit that we're ranking is not niche at all and is literally good for every purpose. And of course, I am talking about the light fruit. And we're finally moving up to the rare category. But first, check it out. With the light fruit, you get one of the best M1 abilities in the entire game, the light spear. On top of the fact that you do get elemental immunity, right? I think it's called actually elemental reflex now, if I think about it. The skills are very cool. Divine arrow, hand of the emperor, you can just like hold it down and beam your opponent to death. The light speed destroyer, bang bang. The V move has insane AoE, and you have one of the fastest flight abilities in the entire game. So clearly, this is one of the best fruits for grinding, especially in the first and probably half of the second C. But in terms of PvP, I mean, it's not the best PvP fruit, but has some pretty good combo potential. But still, it deserves a spot easily in the A tier. And next up, we have the rubber fruit, a giant eraser. Of course, this is inspired by Luffy's fruit, the human fruit model sun god Nika, all right? The world's most overpowered devil fruit in One Piece. You do get an M1 with it, right? The Gumu no pistol. There is a major delay, so you can't really use it to spam and grind. And of course, this is just moves taken straight out of Luffy's arsenal. You got the cannon, the smash, which is the stamp, the gatling, which is called the rush in this game, and the slingshot that can fling you around. That is the F mobility move. But the cool thing about this fruit is, although it is not a beast type, you can still get a transformation, which is a gear second. Just makes your skills a lot faster and deal some more damage here. The pros about this fruit, honestly, there are none. I would say maybe using the slingshot is kind of fun, but that's about it. The rubber fruit definitely goes into the C tier. I would say this is probably... yeah, this is below the flame. Let's put it right here. Boom! Yeah, that's right. We got the ghost. Honestly, nothing about this fruit really stands out to me. Let's show you what skills we got. The Shivering Possession, the Spectral Release, just a bunch of screaming attacks. But the funniest move is definitely the Ghostbusters by far. You summon 2 of your twins here and they just jump the opponents. The Wandering Soul is, of course, a flight move. This fruit has no M1 ability, but it does have a passive where if you run out of HP, you actually don't die and just turn into a ghost with 50% of your original health. Overall, nothing about this fruit stands out to me, but it's also not bad either. We'll put it somewhere into the C tier, probably right above the rubber fruit. All right, here we go. The next fruit, the magma. Now, this thing is an absolute monster, okay? As you can see right away, I am currently holding it while standing in lava. Well, that's because one of the passives of this fruit is that it gives you immunity to lava, okay? But on top of being able to walk on lava, the magma fruit also allows you to walk on water once you have fully awakened it. This is one of the most spammable fruits in the entire game with skills such as the Magma Shower, the Volcanic Assault, the Great Magma Hound. Every single move has incredible damage output. This is arguably the best fruit in the game for spamming and killing bosses and also completing sea events. And of course, it goes without saying, the very high damage output on this fruit is very good for spamming during PvPs as well. So this is just a all-around a very polished fruit. I would say the magma also goes into the A tier. Right there is a good spot. Okay, moving on to the legendary category now. We have the Quake. First of all, how is this a legendary and only have 4 skills? There's no mobility at all. The Quake does have an awakening, but even when you awaken it, it's not all that impressive. Starting with the Fatal Demolisher, drag your opponent over and just crack the screen. Now, if the very observant ones would have noticed that the visual effects are extremely outdated. Yeah, look at how bad this looks. Absolutely terrible, bro. I could have made this in Roblox Studio. The damage on the Quake is not bad, all right? But because of the fact that every single skill has incredibly high cooldowns, especially the Sea Quake, and most skills have very far knockbacks on the opponents, as well as the fact that it does not have an M1 ability and no mobility skill, this fruit is not recommended for PvE at all. I will probably put the Quake fruit somewhere right over here. Yeah, that's a decent spot. We have yet to get a fruit in the S tier, but I feel like that is going to change very soon. Because up next, we have the Buddha fruit. Before we even talk about all the pros and cons, all that blah, 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 straight into the S tier, okay? But now let's go to the actual fruit, all right? Obviously, this fruit has an awakening. I have the awakened version, and everybody in the game should. Because once you transform to this giant, massive, yellow glowing orb, you are just a grinding machine. Whether you're using a fighting style like my Sanguine Art here, or a sword like my True Triple Dark Blade, this Buddha massively increases your range by up to 8 times compared to your regular size. But don't worry if they manage to hit you guys, because it wouldn't hurt at all. Because with the Buddha fruit, you gain a massive damage reduction. So the damage that you take from these enemies, you would barely even feel it. Like, look at this, bro. So for killing NPCs and bosses, there is literally no better option than using the Buddha fruit. This has been one of the best fruits in the entire game since the Awakening released in Update 15. And now, almost 15 updates later, it is still one of the best fruits in the game. Definitely has withstood the test of time, and that is why it goes into the S tier, out of pure respect and love. Speaking of love, let's move on to the next fruit. Yes, because we have the love fruit coming up next, guys. The zestiest looking fruit in the game by far, but is it any good? Well, to start off, here are your moves, right? We have the Heart Shot, very, very pink, very, very zesty. We also have the Cupid Zone, which traps your opponent in this lovely circle. And of course, our famous move, the Besto Ferendo. Alright, it summons your best friend in the entire world to come and do your dirty deeds for you. Although I have no clue who this e-boy looking thing is. Okay, can I get a different best friend? I don't like that guy. Yeah, it's my boy K. And for the first time, I feel taller than him. If you guys don't know, that guy's like 6'7" for some reason. Last but not least, we have the flamingo ride, guys, which, oh my god, look, he got knocked back by the enemy and then instantly teleported onto my flamingo. That's the weirdest pose ever. He looks like a baby. You can still use all of your skills while you're on top of the flamingo, guys, meaning it is great for aerial combat and air camping, especially when you're fighting bosses that don't know how to jump up to fight you. But unfortunately, all of these skills have a relatively low combo potential, and the damage that's dealt by the love fruit is not very good. I'll go ahead and put the love fruit above the quake, but I think the flame is a lot better than this. Next up, we have the Fortnite Tetris fruit, the creation. So why don't we start off with the basics, right? The creation fruit, although it is a normal paramecia type fruit, it does have an M1, but this M1 is very unique. You just bring up like a massive shield of cards in front of you. You can move it around to damage your opponents. I've never seen something like this before. Next up, we got some of the weirdest skills in the entire game. Batter up, turn yourself into a massive, just a pumping cannon, and shoot at the opponent and hit him with a literal bat. Like, who came up with this, bro? Next up, we got sword box. You bring up like this disco floor, and then all these swords from outside just start stabbing into your opponents. Very, very trippy skills, dude. Last but not least, one of the most difficult skills I've ever had to use, which is Magic City, okay? You see these buildings in front of you? Boom. Turn into actual buildings. As if it doesn't get crazy enough, you also have this Fortify skill. Turn you into Michael Jackson, and now you turn the game into Fortnite. You just start building all kinds of... look at this. There's so much creativity, and like, I'm not the most creative guy, so like, I don't know what I could build. Guys, I honestly don't know if this thing is gonna be at all effective in PvPs. I will say, probably gonna be one of the funnest fruits to use though. You know what? I think we'll put it here, right here in the top of the C tier. Okay, up next we have the spider. Now, I don't really want to dwell on this fruit for too long. Number one, I hate insects and spiders. And number two, there's really nothing too special about this fruit. So the fruit itself does not have an M1 ability for you to be able to grind with. It is a paramecia fruit, so you don't get the Logia elemental immunity. And also, the skills on these have pretty small hitboxes. So all around, just a very mid fruit for every situation. You wouldn't find yourself using this fruit ever. The spider fruit will go, I would say, yeah, probably right below the love. Okay, up next, we got this cute little boombox, the sound fruit. Now, right off the bat, you would notice that the sound fruit has this thing called the tempo meter, which is a passive ability, and the best way to fill up that meter is by using the F move, the tempo prestissimo. As you glide around in this mesmerizing flight move, you will see the tempo meter filling up really quickly, and once it's activated, everything turns gold. Here's the special part about this. It increases you and everyone in your party's speed and damage, and reduces incoming damage as well. So very good for partying up in raids or boss fights. The sound fruit is one of your go-to choices. Unfortunately though, it does have relatively weak stuns and combo potential, and the cooldowns on these skills are relatively long. So in a PvP situation, this fruit is definitely not preferred. So, you know what? Let's go ahead and put it right here in the B tier. That's a good spot, I think. And the next fruit rises like a phoenix rise from the volcanic ashes. The legendary phoenix fruit. You do have an M1. It is not something that is spammable and does knock your opponent back pretty far. The cremation cannon, the X move, you know, and it looks like I'm hurt a little bit, but it doesn't matter because we could just use the X move and regenerate our health. And the swift flight, which is the hybrid flight move of the Phoenix, which allows you to freely fly around. But if you were feeling a little more furry and wanted to do the full transformation, well, we have the blazing plumage, okay? Turns us into a literal blue phoenix, just like my boy Marco in the anime One Piece, and the skills become a lot cooler. Woo-wee! Just better all-around skills. But of course, the most important skill the Phoenix has is the regeneration flames. When we talk about the sound fruit being important in parties, so is the Phoenix, alright? I will give the Phoenix a nice spot, probably near the bottom of the B tier. That is, I would say that's fair. Okay, so next up, we have what is probably the most important fruit in the entire game. Not the strongest, the most important. And of course, I am talking about this drooling, confused looking portal fruit. For a legendary fruit to be the most important, gee, and how is that possible? Well, I'm gonna tell you why. Oh, and the game is literally giving us a reason as we speak. Look, fruit detected 1,134 meters away. No problem. Looks like it's over by the Winter Castle. Why don't we just go ahead and teleport over? And look, all of a sudden, we're only 40 meters away. And that is why this fruit is super important. Okay, obviously not because of the fact that you can teleport to fruits on the fruit notifier, but because of the fact that you can teleport to anywhere on the map. There are dozens of places you can teleport to in each sea. It's the best fruit mobility-wise, okay? Not only does the C move teleport you everywhere, the M1 move propels you forward, the portal dash, the Z move propels you forward, and the F move quantum leap propels you forward even more. And let's not forget about the dimensional rift, alright? The original domain expansion, alright? Teleports your opponent into this rift. The most annoying move to go up against in PvP by far. You just cannot predict what a portal user is going to do next. Portal fruit definitely goes into the S tier. And the lightning fruit is next. So first of all, it is an elemental fruit like many others we've seen so far, which means it has elemental immunity. So the lightning fruit also has an M1 now after the rework, which you can use to just like continuously zap your opponent. So the Z move, the V move, and the F move all each cost one of these orbs in order to use. So if I want to spam lightning orbs, you see, I can only spam it up to 4 times. Until I get another orb, I can't use it anymore. I have to wait 5 seconds for these orbs to charge up. Next up, we got Thunderstorm, which is a much better looking version of the previous X move on the lightning fruit. And then the Sky Judgment, which drops a literal lightning beam down onto your opponent. And of course, the coolest V move of all, the Thunder Ball Destruction. The Flame and the Dark Balls got nothing compared to this thing. Look at this. Planetary levels of destruction right here. So as you can already see, the lightning is very good at stunning your opponents, guys, which gives it incredible combo potential in PvPs on top of the fact that it does have a M1 move. It's not the worst for grinding. Definitely an A tier fruit. I would put it right below the magma, guys. Next up, we have the pain. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I haven't really used the pain fruit much ever since the rework, solely because of the fact of just how overwhelming it is. So here we go. Right off the bat, we have another passive ability, right? The Pain Meter. The Pain Fruit also has an M1 now, which is incredible. It's actually so cool. Unfortunately, that knockback is way too crazy to be very efficient in PvE grinding. But that's okay, though. As I'm taking damage, though, my Pain Meter is filling up. Okay, now for the actual skills. Fury Jab. This thing is a literal minigun. It will keep on shooting at your opponents, but the speed of it reduces more and more as you shoot. So another cool passive ability that the Pain Fruit has is also, I'm pretty sure once you die, it sends you to like an extra rage mode. Yeah, there you go. You turn Ultra Instinct Super Saiyan. Look at the way you start sprinting. Everything becomes better. So there you go, guys. Again, not an expert at the Pain Fruit, but from what I understand, it has insane damage, insane range, very good for PvP, and also decent for PvEs. So it doesn't pain me at all to say this. I think the Pain and the Lightning Fruit are both very close with each other. I might put the Pain above the Lightning right up here in the A tier. I could be wrong on this, so correct me if I am, guys. Okay, next up, we have the Blizzard Fruit. Look how scared this thing looks. But for some reason, being as good as the Blizzard is, it is actually not a very popular fruit in the game. So let's go ahead and take a look at why. First of all, it is an elemental fruit, so we do get the immunity that comes with it, right? That is already a major plus for PvE grinding. So it isn't overall just a very good fruit. It has decent combo potential. A lot of the moves can break instinct. Good for raids, you know, for spamming the F move, gathering all the NPCs and just completely decimating them. Decent for grinding levels as well. So overall, just not bad. But as you can see also, nothing in it really stands out too much. Deserves a spot right beside his cousin right here, the Ice, inside of the B tier. And with the Blizzard, we're officially done with the legendary fruits and have finally finally moved on to the mythical category, and we're starting with the Gravity. So the Gravity was one of the first fruits that got hit with a rework earlier last year, and let me just say, man, it did not disappoint at all. We now have an M1 with a Gravity fruit that is, I don't really know how to describe this thing, man. It charges up, it links to each other, and it can hit the opponents. Singularity, look at this thing, bro. Now, guys, my Gravity fruit on this account isn't fully upgraded, so I cannot demonstrate that for you. We got a Gravity minigun with the orbital chain. Gravitational prison. And the V move, the asteroid crash. The F move is the shooting star for which you can just ride on and still use all of your attacks with. So that's pretty cool and useful. The biggest downside of this fruit is a lot of the skills do require, some sort of startup like charging up and things like that in order to deal damage to your opponents. So it could be on the relatively slower side, if I had to make a complaint. I'm sorry to break you guys up, but Gravity Fruit is gonna go between the Ice and the Blizzard, right over here. Alright, hang tight with me because the mythical category is the biggest in Bloxfruits, so we have a lot to go through. And of course, up next, we have the Mammoth Fruit. So first of all, we have the untransformed version in which, all of the skills work as just shadows of the transformed version, right? The Ancient Cutter, a Prehistoric Punt, Colossal Crusher, and the Stampede, which this one works a little bit differently compared to the transform version, which I will show you. Mammoth Transform. The M1 is unstoppable, all right? Very good for grinding, although you would need to get 300 mastery just to get this transformation. And every single move that you see here is exactly the same, except you see it being done by the actual Mammoth model. So nothing here really changes except for the F move, which is the Stampede. Like, you could just hold down the F move and it'll never end and just run over everybody. Great PvE abilities, very spammable in PvPs as well, so could be used very effectively in PvP, although you do feel a lot slower and are a much bigger target. But there's no worries because you can just jump to avoid your opponent's attacks. So the Mammoth, I will probably put right above the Gravity into the beat. Oh, whoa. Right here, right in the B tier. Next up, we have the T-Rex. I am so sorry you had to see that. I'll be honest, guys. The T-Rex, I would say, is probably like a slightly better version of the Mammoth and a slightly worse version of the Kitsune. Basically, why it's better than the Mammoth is in its base form, you actually do have an M1 ability. The skills are Tail Swipe, Predatorial Screech, Hunter's Rage, and of course, a Giant Leap that also allows you to jump and damage your opponents. So the thing that's different about this compared to the Mammoth is you need to fill the Fury meter up in order to actually transform. So here we go. The Extinct T-Rex. It's so funny that as you transform, meteors fall around you as if that wasn't the reason why you don't exist anymore. You do get a massive damage reduction, slightly less than the Mammoth fruit, but I think it makes up for it by slightly better mobility. Also a very spammable fruit for PvPs and PvEs. I will highly recommend using it. But once again, insane mastery requirement in order to actually transform. For that reason, I would say the T-Rex is much more useful than the Mammoth, and I will put it actually slightly above the Ice Fruit, right here. Next up, we have one of the best fruits of all time in terms of PvP, the Dough Fruit. Now, first of all, the Dough Fruit is an elemental, okay, so you do get the elemental reflexes. It is one of the best fruits at comboing you have ever seen. First move, the Missile Jab. We got the Pastry River, Piercing Clothesline. And of course, we have the Dough Fist Fusillade. So as you would have noticed, a lot of these skills are able to sort of stun your opponents. You can chain these moves to do some crazy combos with it. You don't even have to be like a fruit main build in order to use combos on this fruit. However, one of the biggest cons of the Dough Fruit, other than the fact that it is nearly impossible to obtain, is how difficult it is to unlock all of the awakened skills. Guys, to fully awaken your Dough Fruit is so tough. But just solely based off of the fact of how overpowered the dough fruit is in terms of PvP, we're just gonna ignore the PvE aspect and throw it directly into the S tier. Let's put it right between the Buddha and the portal. But the same thing probably can't be said about the shadow fruit, which is one of the most neglected mythical fruits in the entire game, and I will explain why. So first of all, when you have the shadow fruit equipped, you get this thing called the Umbra meter, which is one of the most useless meters in the entire game. It fills up when you deal damage on your opponents, and the only thing that it does is just it's drained when you use your Corvus Torment effect. That's like all it does for you. This thing is pretty good for PvPs, I will say, but there are just so many other fruits out there that has way better PvP potential. The biggest drawback of the shadow fruit is pretty much most of the moves are single target, and you can't really grind with it. It's pretty inefficient. So when it comes to PvEs, you know, for gaining a bunch of levels and also doing raids and sea events, it's not the most effective. I think the shadow fruit goes into the B tier, maybe above the diamond. I wouldn't put it anywhere higher than that. The venom is up next, guys. Another fruit that is long overdue for a massive rework, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that the venom is still a pretty decent fruit. So first of all, the venom also has a fury meter. Now, many people sort of confuse the venom with being an elemental fruit. That is just completely false. Fake news. The venom is not elemental, so you are still going to get hit by your enemies. But let's start with the poison daggers, all right? A very spammable move, but the cool thing about the venom is not its skills, but these poison puddles that's able to do tick damage to your opponents. But of course, you're all here to see the venom transformation into the three-headed Hydra. I just messed up saying the word Hydra. That was a little embarrassing. But anyways, it's also not a beast fruit, even though you can transform, guys. This Hydra model, also outdated, probably needs a rework. And of course, the moves gets better. First of all, when you jump up as the Venom, you can spew out like more poison around you. So everything that you do severely poisons your opponents. This is a very, very decent PvP fruit. Only problem is the Fury meter drains very fast, guys. And in terms of PvEs, unfortunately, you know, does not have an M1 ability. There's a lot of cooldown. These skills are pretty slow. So it's not the best for grinding levels, I would say. Overall, still a decent fruit. I would probably put it somewhere above the Shadow. Yeah, that's where the Venom will go. All right, I'm excited for this one, guys. Next up, we have the Gas Fruit. One of my favorite new fruits to be released as of recently. This is what a mythical fruit should look like. First of all, gas, elemental, you can't touch this, all right? On top of the fact that it has M1 spam. One of the fastest M1 spam I have ever seen. You pull out this gas sword and just start dicing, dude. Now, let's go to the skills. We have suffocating fumes. Pretty good. We got bursting vapor. Look at that. Look at the ring surrounding you. Can we just talk about how nice this fruit looks, the colors and the VFX? Traveling gas, I will say, is probably one of the slower F moves, especially for a mythic. And once your gas meter is filled up, of course, you can transform into a massive gas giant. You look literally like the genie with armor on. This thing is like not as big as the Buddha, but quite massive and makes the M1 spam grind even easier, guys. Amazing fruit for grinding, amazing fruit for killing bosses, amazing fruit for PvPs because you could just spam. Yeah, the gas fruit is definitely going to S tier for me. I mean, I still personally prefer the Buddha, but the gas fruit is close, man. Next up, we have a very undervalued fruit. Undervalued mostly by me, okay? Because I almost never use this thing, and that is the Spirit. So right away, you would notice a very unique bar on the top of your skill list, and that is the Spirits bar. So as it slowly fills up, you can summon these little buddies that gives you very cool boosts. So the blue ones, you can summon, what is this? This is a pig, which gives you a speed boost, makes you run faster. Or you could get a star that will heal you every once in a while. Now, if you were to summon the red ones, here we go. Boom. A toad that sticks out his long freaky tongue at your opponents and drags them in and deals damage. Oh, this poison mushroom deals poison damage, very similar to the venom. And let's try to see if we can get the last buddy out. The last buddy, yeah, the tree, which brings out its roots and stuns your opponents as well. It is so insanely versatile, and I haven't even used a single skill yet. Frostfire Grasp, Wrath of Ra, Wrath of Shu, one of the most overpowered skills of them all, the end of times, bro. Once you chain together the skills along with all of your power-ups, you can deal so much damage at once to your enemy, they will be dead within the blink of an eye. So yeah, very overpowered fruit for PvPs, but PvE, not so much. Yeah, this thing is going into the A tier, guys. Now we're moving on to the heavy hitters, alright? The rest of the fruits we'll be ranking are the strongest among even the mythical fruit category. And we're starting with the brand new reworked tiger, what used to be the leopard fruit. And for the purpose of time, we'll be ranking the tiger and the werewolf together as one fruit because the werewolf is just a mutation of the tiger. It's not much better or worse. They're very, very similar. And here we go. All right, so the tiger fruit, what's bad about it? Doesn't have an M1 unless you transform, which is very annoying. Definitely not recommended for lower level players. This is for sure an end game type of fruit. Starting with the finger revolver. Oh, buddy. Oh my god. Very, very similar to the previous leopard fruit. There's not much difference other than like some visual changes, right? The body liquor, that's different. But you guys have all come to see the transformation. Yeah, the transformed tiger fruit. This thing looks sick. Straight out of Kung Fu Panda. You already know. Now you get an M1. Now you can start spamming these fools with your M1 and fill up your fire meter. And once your fire meter is fully filled, you can go into your second form, the ultimate furry. Just start crawling on all fours. Like I said, super high mobility, very fast, very good damage, DPS, and extremely easily spammable. Not much different can be said about the werewolf mutation though, guys. Like I said, it is essentially just the same thing, okay? I wouldn't say they're very much different from one another. So we'll just rank both of these fruits at the exact same time. Tiger and werewolf fruits, easily S tier, guys. Easily S tier. You know what? Let's go ahead and place them above the Buddha. Hey, Buddha is still my favorite, but there's just no denying how good these two fruits are. All right, next up, we got the Yeti, another heavy hitter on this tier list. Unfortunately, I do not have a physical Yeti fruit on me. For some reason, I have like every physical fruit except for the Yeti. But yeah, just picture like a big furry thing with like red eyes and horns. It looks pretty cool. So let's just go ahead and get to the actual fruit itself. There is no fury meter for transformation. You just literally transform and stay in your transformation forever. That's pretty cool. But let's start with the untransformed skills. The Arctic Cheek Clap, big old Frostbite Boulder, Glacial Execution. I love this one. Kind of reminds me of that Spirit move. And of course, even the F move, the Tundra Rush, is able to deal. Oh my god. Pretty sure that's not what the skill was designed to do, guys. So let's not take that into consideration, all right, in our ranking. But let's go ahead and now transform into the massive Yeti. But yeah, with the transformed Yeti, you now have an M1 spam, guys. So it does make grinding slightly easier. But you see, the problem with that is you need 300 mastery to get the transformation. So good luck doing that without an M1 ability. The problem with a Yeti skill is as powerful and spammable as they are, they do put you at a pretty vulnerable position when you're executing them. Especially like the Glacial Execution, while you're using it, you could literally get teamed or have other NPCs just come and hit you from behind. And one bonus fact about the Yeti is that you're able to just like walk on ice. And I'm pretty sure the Frostbite Boulder also makes like giant blocks on ice that you can stand on. Pretty damn cool if you ask me. Pretty overpowered if you ask me. I think the rest of the fruits that we're gonna look at are all gonna end up on the S tier, but I honestly feel like the Yeti is closer to the top of the A tier. So that's where it's going to land. All right, this is the moment a lot of you guys have been waiting for. We are moving on to the Kitsune. Still one of the most sought after fruits in the entire game. Probably second only to the dragon. We'll also be ranking its mutation, the Empyrean, at the exact same time. All right, they are very, very similar. So first off, as you can see, with the Kitsune, I have already been turned into a furry. I already gained the 3 tails, which makes me incredibly fast, and I get Foxfire around me. Now, these are going to be very important. Look at the blue flame skills, guys. Look at how sick these are. On top of the fact that it has one of the best M1s out of every single Bloxfruit. And we haven't even gotten to the transformation yet, guys. Transforming to the Kitsune makes it one of the fastest fruits on land and water, as you could literally just walk on water like most mythical fruits can. The M1 is still just as powerful as ever before. Combined with the M1 and the ability to spam all these skills, you can deal so much damage in a blink of an eye, it's not even funny, guys. And of course, the same goes for the Empyrean. I will say it's exactly like the Kitsune, except the model looks a little bit cooler. Some of the skills are a little bit different, of course. I like the Z skill here, the sweeping firestorm, and the Z skill that gives you a literal cutscene, which is pretty fire. But yeah, both the Empyrean and the Kitsune are amazing options for early level, mid-level, end game, grinding, PvP, PvE, anything you want to do. Top of the S tier they go. Yeah, right there. I will put the Kitsune above the Empyrean just for, you know, nostalgia's sake. And the second last fruit on our tier list today is the Control, the most recently reworked mythical fruit that took 3 years to complete. And guys, it was worth every second of waiting. So right off the bat, the biggest difference now is even outside of your domain, the Control has an M1. You could use some of the skills like the Slice and Dice. Look at that, the Gamma Blade and the Transmutation. You don't even need to summon a domain anymore. You don't even need the room. But once you get the room out, it's over for me. I died while holding a Control. So once you have gotten the Control room out, you have 2 modes, alright? The first one is the Dagger, and when you fully upgrade it, you can use it to just slash not only enemies, but the map itself. You could slice the trees, you could slice the objects, the Slice and Dice, the Gamma Blade. This is one of my favorite moves, that C move right there. And once you get your domain out, you can tap Z to switch between the Dagger mode and the Fist mode. Alright, the Fist mode is very cool. You could summon like these gigantic, massive bricks and just drop them on your opponents. There is one more thing I do want to show you too, is when you fully upgrade your Control and fill out the meter, you can also hold down your V move to hit them with an ultimate cutscene, guys. This is going to completely lag on my computer, but it was totally worth showing you guys. I mean, just how cool is the Control fruit? Control, automatic S tier. I will say though, I don't think it's as good as the Tiger or the Kitsune. I'm gonna have to put this one behind the Buddha fruit, guys. Don't cancel me. And guys, last but not least, we have the most sought after fruit in the entire game. The mythical dragon and Western dragons on the exact same ranking, all right? And we're starting off with the Eastern dragon, which is, you know, because I'm Asian, I do have a preference, all right? Dragon fruit, whether you're Eastern or Western dragon, have an M1. That is a great, fantastic for grinding, guys. It is even better when you do reach your second form, which I will show you in a second. But here we have the Heatwave Cannon. Without transformation, all of these moves are exactly the same. Infernal Pincer. Boom. Single target, which is kind of whack. The skills themselves are not great for grinding, except for the C move. And it has a great flight ability. And when you are able to like glide downwards and then fly back up, you get this fire that surrounds you and increases your speed. Now, there are 2 levels to the Fury meter. When the first level is filled up, which is orange, you can transform into your hybrid dragon form, which is like a, dude, like a cute little mini Buddha. Now your M1 is much stronger. You have a 5-hit M1 combo instead of 3 hits, making it so good for grinding. Unfortunately though, you need to get this thing to 350 mastery just in order to use it. But of course, the most important skill for the dragon is the Imperial evolution, the ultimate transformation, guys. Probably not the best place to use the transformation. This place is a little bit claustrophobic, but you turn into a massive dragon. This fruit is one of the best in the game for grinding. You don't even need to use your M1 fire breathing technique. All you gotta do is use your scorching downfall, and you can hit the entire map. All of these skills deal mob damage, which is pretty cool too. I will say though, the biggest difference between the Eastern Dragon transformation and the Western Dragon transformation is that the Western Dragon has probably like the fastest flight ability in the entire game. From what I understand, it is just much faster. The skills are slightly different. It's almost like a mutation to the other fruit. The C skill, the Scorching Downfall, you breathe this giant beam into the air and it just just like rains hell on your opponents. Overall, great for grinding, great for raids, great for boss fights, and even great for traveling with your friends because you can have a mount on the dragon and they can ride you. Major pause, and I think on that note, it's probably time to rank the dragon. I don't think anybody can disagree that the dragon fruit is on top of the S tier. Let me know what you guys think of this tier list in the comments below, guys. These videos are getting more and more difficult to make as they release more fruits. But, you know, I could be completely wrong here. We could all disagree, but at the end of the day, it's just my personal opinion. So show me some love anyway by dropping a like, subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace!